Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the very first episode of the NYCOT Podcast. My name's Brad Mills, and I'm here with your president and CEO,
Dennis White.
And we're very, very excited to bring to you this first episode. And in this first episode, we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and that topic is a man's purpose. What is a man's purpose, and how can you fulfill your purpose as a man? So to start things off, I'm going to ask you firstly, Dennis, do you believe that there is a purpose to life?
I fundamentally believe there's a purpose to life. I feel like our purpose in life derives from our connection that we have with the Creator, with God. It's fulfilled in our acceptance of the unique gift that God has placed upon us, and to live out and to seek that gift. Once an individual has that gift, has found that gift, and seeks to work on that gift, he shall master that gift, and with the mastery of that, push out that gift into the community, helping with the fulfillment of others in achieving their goals.
I agree with that 100%, and you put that perfectly. I think everyone has a unique God-given value, and you can't just expect everyone to believe that, and you can't expect yourself to believe that internally if you're not willing to put in the hard work and acknowledge your purpose in order to achieve that and put it out into the world. So, like you said, it's very important to understand the fundamental principles of your purpose, how to find your purpose and how to incorporate that into your life, because we are so far away from that in our modern world, and we have lost that sense of direction in ourselves that I think that is what is correlating to the increase in mental health problems, especially in young men, because they're not willing to take on responsibility in their life, and they're just opting out of becoming businessmen, successful businessmen, or even just working at all. They just have this welfare mentality where they're given these things that they're not willing to work for. So I think that's exactly right. And another question that I wanted to ask you is, what do you think in particular is a man's purpose? Because I believe that both men and women have a purpose. However, a woman is born with a purpose because she has the ability to give life and raise a family. However, a man is not born with a purpose, and he has to make an active decision to take responsibility for his life in order to become a man. And that's why I think it is also correlated to a large majority of men's mental health and committing suicide. I think that I'm not going to assume that's in direct correlation, but I think that is definitely something to consider. So, in particular, what do you think is a man's purpose?
Well, that was beautifully said. A man's purpose is to work. Work is the cornerstone of everything. If you can't put in effort to achieve a certain outcome and continually do it, then you don't deserve success. So work takes on responsibility. It leads to a completion of a task, and it fosters a sense of achievement, which will then grow you to complete other task. A man's purpose is to be good at his work, is to have something, to do it, complete it, and then to pursue other things in relation to work. If a man is good at work, he gets a sense of responsibility, and the sense of responsibility is respected by his community because they see trust. Through that work, an individual will grow self-confidence because they believe they can achieve things as they are disciplined, and they trust themselves in holding that responsibility. Through that responsibility, they can find their purpose as they know they have completed the basics in a certain industry and now can push to elevate themselves further. So I think in finding your purpose, an individual must understand that he's competent at a certain thing.
Yeah.
And that can only be achieved through his hard work.
Definitely. In a recent lecture that I watched of Jordan Peterson's, he talks about how it is necessary for a man to take on responsibility in his life to have fulfillment, because he talks about how in our Western world at the moment, we're primarily talking about rights. I have all these rights. But when you have the conversation about rights, you also have to have the conversation about responsibility, because ultimately your rights are my responsibility. And he asked the question to the audience, what makes this life worth living? Is it rights? No, it's not your rights that make this life worth living. It's responsibility. Because when you, as you said, when you take on responsibility, you're able to tolerate yourself because you're capable of things. You learn skills, you create confidence in yourself. And when you see these men who aren't taking on responsibility, these man-childs, they're waking up when they're 30 years old and acknowledging, what have I done with my life? They have no skills, they have no confidence. And through that, they begin to resent themselves and they resent the world around them. So it's very, very important for men to take on responsibility in their life, just like Dennis said. So as a young man listening to this, you really need to acknowledge that and pursue your purpose and understand that it is your work.
And with that, with pursuing your work, it will eventually lead you into finding what your purpose is. You will feel a sense of responsibility. Work is also about perspective too. Say if I'm working as a bricklayer, an individual finds both of those duties as work, but one will find that as a dreaded thing to do, and one will find fulfillment in that. One can be building a house, and one can be building a mansion. It's perspective. What you put into your work is what you get out of your work.
Also with that, the strength of a man that you can become is directly correlated to the strength of the load and the responsibility that you take on. So that's just, I thought, bounced off Dennis quite nicely.
No, 100%. If the society trusts you with so much responsibility, then you as a man are seen as a high value man, because you're seen to be able to do all these duties and tasks. But if you can't even complete a simple task or a simple object of work, then there's no responsibility going to be given on you, and you will not find your purpose because you can't even find yourself to do these basic tasks.
Yes, I agree with that, definitely. And like Dennis said, it does come down to your perspective and your attitude towards these things. Most of the men that I talk to now, when I tell them that their work is their purpose, they really do not like that, and they think it's incredibly unfair. And they always say to me, what about being a good man, being a good husband? Yes, that is true. That falls under the umbrella of doing your work, because ultimately work gives you the ability to provide, and it gives you the ability to be respected by the people around you. A man who does not work is not respected. Just think about your workplace. Your friends in your workplace are typically people who do the work and you respect. The people who you are not friends with and dislike are typically lazy and are not good workers. So when you're a man who opts out of work and that traditional masculine role, you're not going to be respected, because unfortunately, stay-at-home dads are not respected, guys.
No way. Yeah, it's the thing of robbing yourself of power, but robbing people around you. A real man does not take, he gives. He is selfless in every act. He eats last at the table. He allows the women and children to be on the boats during the Titanic. He fights wars while the women and children are home and unprotected. A man is selfless, and selflessness starts in your ability to do work, to provide for others.
Yeah, guys, as a strong masculine man, you have to acknowledge it's not about you, and it never will be about you. You are the only person that cares about your dreams. No one else cares. Warren Buffett once said, the thing that you like most about yourself are your hobbies, but the things that other people like most about you is your business. What you contribute out into the world and the value that you can derive for yourself through your work is ultimately how people will see you. And that is how you're going to be able to attain the woman of your dreams and provide for your family.
Beautiful. That's exactly it. Attaining for your family and for your woman. And a purpose gives you a sense. Once you find your purpose, it opens so many things up towards you. We understand that 80% of men have no attraction to women. And that's because they have no value. They can't be trusted. If no one can trust you to turn up to your shift, how the hell is she going to trust you to look after her or look after her family?
Yeah.
So, again, finding work, having responsibility, fulfilling that task, finding self-belief elevates you into a position to pushing towards your desires and dreams. That will come to you after you feel a sense of achievement. When you are confident in something, you achieve well. When you're less confident in something you don't even want to achieve, you don't even participate, you're on the sidelines watching. These individuals who say, oh, I don't know if there's a purpose to life, it's because they have no inner self-achievement. They have no self-esteem that can elevate them up. And that usually correlates from their lack of understanding that they're here for a reason. And that's their absence belief in a creator, in God. Everything here is very much connected. And once you humble yourself in believing that you're created for a reason, that you are special only when you take form in work, and your form in work derives confidence and responsibility, then that responsibility can take you on to achieving more tasks, and those tasks will eventuate you into looking and fulfilling a purpose. That's the line. This is the secret to success.
Yeah, exactly, guys. And a lot of you are afraid to do work and be uncomfortable. Mm. And it's important to identify that there are 4 types of men. There is a slave, a warrior, a knight, and a king. And all men are born slaves. A slave is someone who does not identify or acknowledge their purpose in life, and they work for another man. You can become a warrior by identifying your purpose and beginning to struggle with it, because struggle is the key word there. You are going to struggle with your purpose when you first identify it. And then you can become a knight when you become good at your purpose. And the only way that you can reach your maximum potential as a man and become a king is by providing and protecting a woman and a family. That's so important, guys. The only way that you can become your ultimate potential as a man and become a king is by finding the woman to provide for and to protect. And the only way you're going to provide and protect for her and be a good man for her is by doing the work that no one else can do and doing it as best as you possibly can, because you'll be providing so much value for yourself and the community around you.
You don't deserve a woman if you can't work.
Yeah.
You don't deserve anything if you can't work. A man's inability to work is his inability to succeed. And the most successful thing an individual can do is create life. Life is found life is formed when you are with a partner. And again, you become a king when you become your queen, but you can only do that through your work. So essentially what we've been saying...
If you guys were listening, you can't go up the ranks unless you become better at your purpose. And like we said, your purpose initially is your work.
Everything is connected. Everything, you have to work to find your purpose. Your purpose will elevate you to respect within the community. The respect within the community will foster attraction from females, and from females you can procreate and create life. And that's another stepping stone towards your purpose, is to keep living on, because you live on through your children. And I think Brad can speak to that.
Yeah, exactly. When you ultimately marry your wife and she gives you the ability to have children and carry on your legacy, you're given the gift of immortality. You can carry on your legacy, immortality, and you can carry on your legacy through your offspring. Now, it may not be your same body and your same mind, but it's your spirit. And that's a very powerful thing. So, like we said, you can't reach your maximum potential as a man without finding that woman.
Exactly. And you shouldn't feel like you're obliged to have her. A lot of people who have no money or aren't struggling with their work or have no passion, have no desire, they complain about, oh, women these days, they want this, they want that. They want someone who can work, man. Yeah. If you're not giving anything, you're not worthy of it.
Yeah, a good woman is very intolerant of a man who is not going to reach for his potential.
And a woman who is intolerant of your weakness is a woman you want. Yeah. Why would you want to be with someone who accepts low standards? And I think that's...
When she criticizes you, you have to take that as love, because she wants you to reach your maximum potential, and that's what a good woman will do. She will push you towards your maximum potential. And that's the queen that you need to find.
But you will already be striving towards your maximum potential. You just can't find the queen. Like Brad said, there's certain stages which elevates you towards becoming the king. But being the king, you can only be the king once you have your queen.
Yeah. Something that Dennis touched on earlier in the video as well is that you have to acknowledge that your work is your purpose before that you can turn your purpose into your passion. Too many people have it the wrong way around. They think that they are privileged enough to pursue their passion first, which is absolutely not the case. You have to learn how to work and do the work that only you can do before you get the privilege to shoot for your dreams and your goals.
I think the army fundamentally does this perfectly. You have recruitment where you have to do tasks, basic skills. Some of them don't even relate to your job. You're a chef, but you're going through basic training. But I'm cooking. It doesn't matter. We have to see if you can do the work. Work is a prerequisite for anything.
That's right. And a very wise man once said, success demands a higher effort.
100%.
And Dennis put that perfectly.
Success demands a higher effort. You can't be willing to achieve if you can't sacrifice. And sacrifice is your ability to work when other people want joy. Eventually, when you find your purpose, there will be joy in your work because your purpose will be your work. But you have to establish yourself as having to do chores that are separated from your purpose to know that you can do work. So when you find your purpose, you can work on that. It's stages. Like you can't have a desire and just try and do it when you haven't committed to doing something that you haven't committed to something before.
Exactly. And a lot of the young men out there now are in a fairy tale world where they think that they can be a freaking influencer, a famous dancer, a bloody singer, and an actor.
Yeah. It sickens me.
A small majority of people are going to be able to do that, but they're also extremely hard-working people. And a large majority of you are not willing to work hard.
Yeah, a majority of you think luck will come your way. Luck is not luck. Luck is your ability.
You create your own luck.
Exactly. It takes 20 years to be an overnight sensation. That's the work that's behind the scenes. And you must be willing to work to fulfill the purpose.
Yeah, and we're not saying that you're always going to enjoy your work. No. Absolutely not. I know when I go to my work sometimes, I don't want to be here. I wish I could leave. But it's knowing that your work is your purpose and that you're striving for something much greater than what you're doing right now is what pushes you through that. And you have to find comfort in the uncomfortable. You have to acknowledge that when you go through this pain, that you're going to grow. And that's what motivates you to push through that pain. Because it's not about what you do now, it's about what you can do in the future. And our Western culture only promotes short-term gratification, guys. They don't promote anything that is of long-term value. And it's important to acknowledge, like Dennis said previously, 100% of the women are going for 40% of the guys. Because women are hypergamous and they only date upwards. And they don't want to be treated like shit, obviously. And if you're someone who doesn't work and can't provide for her and care for her in a way that you're also respected by society and by her, you have absolutely no chance.
Yeah, if she can do everything that you can do, then why the hell does she need you?
Exactly.
That's the issue in society. Oh, I do that job. Yeah, we can do this together. No, she wants you to take responsibility.
Yeah.
If you can't work, if she can't be in your presence and be relaxed and feel that you can take on all the responsibility, then you're not worthy of her. A woman must be so comforted and relaxed in the presence of her man because she must know that she is protected. And the guys we see around here offer no sense of protection because they offer no sense of responsibility, and that is directly correlated with their lack of work. Work underpins everything. Whoever's listening to this podcast right now, you better start working.
Guys, you legit need to get your notepad out and write this down and really reflect on this. It's going to be an awakening and point in your life where you acknowledge that your work is your purpose. It was definitely something that I went through, and you have to be willing to give up things in your life. You got to be willing to give up going out every fucking weekend and chilling with friends. When does it get to that point where you take responsibility for your life, gentlemen? Because the only way that you can become a man and transition into manhood is when you take accountability for everything in your life. Even things that are outside of your control. And like Dennis said, when you find a woman, she does not want to take responsibility. No. She does not want to lead. She wants you to look after her and take responsibility for things that are going on.
100%.
Yeah. Another quote that I had that I think really reflected with my personal experience is that A man's capacity to receive another man's direct criticism is a measure of his capacity to receive masculine energy. That's so important, because all the guys that I'm talking to right now are not willing to take on my message. And I know it's different because I'm not like the oldest guy. I don't have a lot of knowledge, but they're not willing to take on that masculine energy. And I remember in particular where I was getting yelled at my workplace, and I started to resent the guy who was doing it. And then I reflected on myself and I thought, wow, no, I did fuck up. And that's just his way of telling me I should be doing better. And as a man wanting to be more masculine and be a stronger man, I just took that on board and acknowledged that. So we are living these principles and we are trying to teach them to you because they are very powerful.
100%. And I feel like a man's capacity to receive a man's criticism is so important, especially when it comes from a true, strong man. Men understand hierarchy, and we very much look up to people who have status and are elevated above us. When we're criticized by that, we feel a sense of disappointment. We can either be pissed off or we can just feel like we've let them down. But recognizing what they said to us and really feeding from the criticism of that grows you. Being able to feel that criticism and then work on that will grow you.
Yeah.
But if you're defensive, then there's no growth.
There's nothing good as a man that comes from being defensive and neglecting things in your life. Because like I said, you have to take accountability for everything in your life. Mm. And so it's very hard because I still find it difficult to not get defensive about things, but I'm working on it.
It's hard for a man who is wanting to achieve and a man with the kind of ideas and philosophy that we share. A man who is trying to be a better man, a more masculine man, a more truthful, honorable man. When you receive that criticism, it goes against what you're trying to achieve. Hey, I see myself as trustworthy, strong, this, that. But now he's questioning me. We must relinquish our ego and understand that us taking on that criticism will grow us to be the man that we believe we can be. So in the act of criticism, stand there, be still, breathe, take all that on and understand that will grow you into the man that you so desire. Your defense mechanism is natural because it goes against what you believe you are, but just accepting what's happening at that moment will turn you into the man that you want to believe.
That was very good.
But I really want to talk to a quote by
Chuck Palahniuk.
Fight Club. I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Fight Club. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely watch it, guys.
It's NYCOT is a rendition of Fight Club.
Yeah.
That's all I can say at the moment. Only our members know what that means. But in Fight Club, one of the famous quotes are, "I see in Fight Club the strongest and smartest men who ever lived. I see all this potential and I see squandering. God damn it. An entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose, no place, no great war, no great depression. Our great war is our spiritual depression. Our great war is our lives. We have all been raised by television to believe that one day we'll all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't be, and we're slowly learning that fact, and we are very, very pissed off."
Yeah, when I first heard that, that really resonated with me, especially the part where he says, we are facing a spiritual war. That is definitely true. We are so lost and blinded in our Western culture at the moment. There's so much noise around us, and it's hard to block it all out. And like our spiritual war is because we're so far away from our religious values that made this Western culture so prosperous in the first place. Like you said, it's almost frowned upon now to be religious because when you can't see something, you can't believe it, supposedly.
It's frowned upon to have faith in something that you can feel but not see because other people lack the ability to feel what you feel. So I can have a personal experience, but you won't experience that. So it makes it not true, which I think it takes away from any idea of what is true. if you can't believe someone else's experience. And yeah, I think, that's a spiritual war is significantly the largest contributor of why this podcast exists. Because men have been weakened spiritually.
Yes.
Men have not worked. Work is a spiritual thing. Work is your fulfillment, again, of one's purpose. Your purpose is the inherent gift God has given you. We're in a spiritual war because men don't work. And the Great Depression within our lives is that suppression of not feeling anything, of not being special. And like he says, we've all been raised to think that we're going to be rock stars and movie gods.
Yeah. That's that fairy fucking tale land where all these young men are living in. They've been promoted these things. And eventually, they're going to get very pissed off when they're 30 years old and they realize they've done nothing with their lives.
Exactly.
So now is the time to take responsibility and acknowledge that your work is your purpose. And there's great honor in that. And people are going to respect you for that, especially as a strong masculine man.
Yes, 100%. Your work is going to be what leads you and elevates you to everything. Work is your best friend. Work is your life.
Just think about anything else in your life. And how is that creating value to society for you as a man? It's not. Anything that you can think of falls under the category of your work. So if you want to become an athlete, that's my purpose. Yeah, well, technically that's work. Because if you're trying to become a professional, you'll get paid. I want to be an actor. Yes, you're going to have to work incredibly hard for that. But that's your work. I want to be a good man. Well, like we said, you're not going to be respected and seen as a good man if you don't do your work.
Yeah.
So
if you're a man who goes up to the bar and can't afford any drinks, you're not going to be respected.
Yeah.
And you need money, which is work.
So we acknowledge that work is work and that it's not always going to be fun. But what are your thoughts on like a work-life balance? Because it's incredibly difficult to tell a man to just go 100% in on his work, although we think that's going to be good for him. But even myself, like I'd like to do some other things sometimes, like do some hobbies. Play football.
Work-life balance is the most important thing when achieving success, because you can only achieve success when you're happy, and that's the state of mind. You won't achieve things when you're feeling depleted or depressed. So work is something that must be done. But again, you work so you can find your passion. If you're really passionate about something, that will give you complete happiness. But if you're in the void of not knowing what your passion is and trying to discover it, then I feel like, yes, being around positive people, people who are successful, people who are hard-working, people who are motivated is important as a influencer towards getting you towards your goals and desires.
Yeah, you have to stop hanging around bums, guys. A lot of your friends, a lot of even my friends believe that there's no purpose to life, and that's very unconstructive towards the lifestyle that I'm trying to live. And like Dennis said to me a while ago, do not take advice from someone that is not living the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
That's the biggest bit of advice that we can give you. Do not take advice from someone that is living the life that you don't want to live.
Yeah, we'll literally take advice from some drunk guy in the nightclub, and then people will take that on as it.
And like you said, there's people in relationships taking advice from people who are single. Now, that may be a silly example, but that doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. No, that's the thing. The work-life relationship is very important. But again, work is something that you must do to pursue your purpose.
Yeah.
But then if you're filling that time, that extracurricular, that added time that you have away from work with people who aren't focused on achieving a purpose, then you're completely counteracting what's happening there.
Yeah. And you have to understand that you can be working your 9 to 5, but it's the hours outside of that where you can pursue your purpose and your passion. Because like we said, you can't just pursue your purpose and your passion and not work. That doesn't work at all. It's the hours outside of that 9 to 5 where you pursue your purpose up until the point where it can take over your work.
And that's the goal. your purpose taking over your work, you being that good, you striving towards it, you saving enough money to now start a business within your purpose. You must work so you have the added responsibility, you have the structure so that you can turn your purpose into your work.
Exactly.
But yeah, with the work-life balance, it is fundamentally important that when you are off from work, you are spending that quality time finding or searching for your purpose, or pushing towards a means of doing it, or the time you spend in company with people are of value. It doesn't necessarily every second has to be talking about building or self-improvement, but it has to be a meaningful and engaging time that you spend with them. It can't be talking about all these girls that you're with, this and
exactly.
that. It has to be purposeful and meaning. And I think people say that's boring. Well, they're not the right people to hang out with.
Exactly. Majority of the people that you see are not the right people to hang out with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's much better to have one or two close friends, guys, than to have a fucking brethren of friends, because then you're trying to always fit in and impress people.
It's hard to trust people with huge friendship circles because that means compromise. We're all individuals. We like bits and pieces of other people. But if you're in a community and everyone seems to be friends, then there's compromise within the individual, and that's mistrust. I can't trust an individual who has a huge group of people that they hang out with because they're not being authentic, because people are not going to be able to build genuine and close connected relationships with all those people if they're not somewhat substituting some type of personality. I think there may be cases in which you can slip back and hang because you want to be true. It's hard to just step away from those friendship groups. But I believe it's progressively leaving. Like you may, instead of hanging out with them all the time, you do it once a week, twice a week. And you can be completely honest. Hey.
You should be completely honest with them.
Be completely honest. We've had so many fun times together, but right now your input is taking me away from my purpose, and I must stop spending some time with you so I can focus on what I'm trying to build.
And like we said, when you get into that warrior stage and you identify your purpose and you struggle with it, that's one of the struggles that come along with it.
100%. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. You can be losing friends because you want to achieve something, and they can be jealous in your achievement. They will be.
Yeah.
If you've identified something that you want to pursue and you're working towards it, and that cuts them off from the access to you, of course they're going to be envious towards you. One, because they're not even living out of purpose.
Yeah.
They're lazy. They can't commit to work. And now that has led your relationship with them being completely broken.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You live for your purpose. And some people are just going to be excluded from that.
So if you were going to summarize this whole episode to a young man out there, what would you say to them?
I would say firstly that humble yourself. We live in a secular society where so many things are given to you, and it's great. You can walk down to the shop and get food. You can turn on the tap and get water. But that's just the benefits of living in Australia. That homely, comforting feeling of being around such a safe environment depletes your ability to work hard because everything is already given to you.
Yeah.
Humble yourself. Realize that you must work. To work, you take on responsibility. You feel a completion of a task. And then you can grow fulfillment within oneself. You gain respect from your community as they see that you can do things. And through that respect, you build inner confidence. That inner confidence derives you to feel that you can pursue more in your life. That will push you to have dreams about your purpose. You have a slight inclination of your purpose. You slowly start pushing towards it. You enjoy it. You love it. You grow. Once you completed your purpose, it is a gift that God has given you. That means it needs to be expressed. You express that, helping others pursue their purposes. That's the ideal of being a man, doing his work, finding his purpose, and giving it to the community.
That's very important you understand that, guys. And a quote that I want to say to you at the end of our podcast is that men who don't work have their women leave them and cheat on them behind their backs. These men are ultimately discarded by women in favor of a man who can be masculine, do his work, and allow women to be feminine.
Exactly. You have to be the man that she wants. Again.
And she doesn't want a man who doesn't do the work and is not respected by people.
Exactly. The funny thing is, if she can do everything that you're offering, then why the hell does she need you? Be the man that allows her to do nothing but be a woman and to engage in her feminine energy.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I think that's all we have for this episode, guys. We're really grateful that you tuned in to listen to our first episode. We're going to have a lot more like this to come, and it's going to be incredibly valuable for you young men. So please tune in, subscribe to our Apple Podcast and Spotify accounts. Also follow us on our socials, Instagram and TikTok. We're going to be posting highlights from each podcast, just the most juicy bits, in case you don't want to listen to the whole podcast.
Yeah.
But we're forever grateful for you listening to our first podcast.
Yeah, we're so thankful for the community and for people following us already. We haven't released any content on those social media platforms of yet, but it's so happy and fulfilling to see that people are already following and are supportive of this cause.
Yeah.
So
we're here to create a strong community of like-minded men who want to strive to their potential.
Yes.
And this is one of many episodes where we're going to be helping them and mentoring them to ultimately achieve that and become better men, because that's our goal.
So thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.